look at the Elizabeth Barraza case. She got murdered in front of her house during a yard sale. This happened on January 26, 2019. Now, there's a lot of YouTube videos out there already on this, so I'm not gonna go into full detail. This may or not be, maybe or maybe not, it will be my only video on this. If I can find a lot more information, I may post another video. What I wanted to do was since we have the video, I wanted to get into the characteristics of this video and the killer. So what I did was I looked up, the characteristics of the murder, how they took place, and got as much information as I could from the internet for this type of murder. The first thing I want to mention is that the crime was committed in front of the victim's house. So what it says is that it can suggest various motives such as targeted violence, personal conflicts, or messages directed specifically at the victim or their family. The proximity to the victim's residence could imply deliberate choice or premeditated intent by the perpetrator. We know this was premeditated simply because the night before, the truck had been canvassing the neighborhood and driving around the whole neighborhood and pretty much stalking the victim. It also suggests that it sends a message directed specifically at the victim, which is most likely the case in execution style murders, which this was. So you're going to see that this is an execution style murder by the way the victim walks directly, by the way the murderer walks directly to the victim. So based off of this, they had also engaged into a conversation with the victim. So when a killer engages in a conversation with the victim before committing a crime, it can suggest a range of motivations and circumstances. It could indicate that an attempt to establish control, gather information, deliver a message, or even manipulate the victim's emotions before the act. I'm going to go with, based off of what I had seen from other videos, that this is intent to deliver a message and possibly manipulate the victim's emotions as well, because they wanted the Elizabeth to know why they were killing her, so they told her this. It's not clear what exactly they said, but I will get into that. I did replay the video kind of over and over, and I did do some sound analysis, and I'll show you that later on in this video. So moving on to the next part of this video. Showing the murder was an execution style murder, and we'll read about execution style murders. So execution style murders typically refer to a specific type of killing where the victim is shot in a manner resembling an execution, often at close range. This murder is at close range. It can also indicate deliberate planning, targeted violence, or a message being sent by the perpetrator, which we talked about already. They are definitely trying to send a message. I said to the perpetrator. I might have said meant by the perpetrator. So since as we talked about before, the message is being sent. They were sending a message. Basically, they walked up to Elizabeth, told her why they were going to kill her, and then they killed her. It was very personal murder. Usually, execution style murders are personal. So, moving on to the next part of this video and what I had wanted to point out here. The next thing I looked up on the internet was that the killer was wearing a white robe. I'm going to call it a white robe. Could be a robe, could be a poncho. Looks more like a robe to me. And I'm going to read the highlighted parts because of more what I think it is, not symbolizing purity or anything like that. So the part that I highlighted here is specific attire choices like robes might be connected to the killer's beliefs, affiliations, or a deliberate attempt to create a certain perception or atmosphere during the crime. Well, Elizabeth was affiliated with I think it's called the 501st. I'm not really sure what it's actually called. The 501st Legion, I believe. Yeah, that's what it was called. And this was, this is like Star Wars conventions. They do charities. They go to hospitals dressed up like Darth Vader or dressed up like Luke Skywalker or stormtroopers and stuff like that. So the fact that they're wearing the white robe may be attributed to what I highlighted here. Basically, they're creating a certain perception or atmosphere, and maybe they're in their Star Wars attire, and they actually believe that they're doing some sort of Star Wars scene. So it also says the robes might be connected to the person's beliefs and affiliations, and that affiliation would be the 501st Legion or a Star Wars thing. So I do kind of believe that this person was part of the 501st Legion. So we'll move on to the next part. Let's see what I have here. So right here it's showing, I'll pause that for a minute. All right. Oh, okay. Let me get that in the frame. So right here it's showing the killer's vehicle. So what detectives had stated about this vehicle is that it is a Nissan Frontier, and it is a black vehicle. So what I did was I looked up the killer having a black truck and choosing a black truck to commit their crime. So it says the choice of a black truck could potentially signify an attempt at anonymity or stealth. And black vehicles can blend into the surroundings or be less conspicuous, especially during nighttime or in certain environments. It might also be a deliberate choice to create a specific image or mood, which they were actually trying to do with the Star Wars. I don't know how that would tie into the Star Wars themed, but that is an interesting thing that they may have actually wanted some sort of role play there. That the black truck actually signifies something related to Star Wars. So the color could be a distinguished factor used. Okay, I'm not going to worry about that last statement because it kind of says that every time I look something up, that these things would help investigators. uh, potentially find the killer if they know this information. So I'm going to get into the next video here, and the reason why I did this video is to try my best to get the captions. And after listening to this video several times, I might have listened to this 100 times or more to try to extract as much information as possible. It does take a while to get things out of it, and when I play it, you'll understand why it's very difficult. I did have to manipulate the sound, put it into the editing software, and edit it many different ways. And the reason why I showed this video is because it actually says a name on it, and the name you see it right there. The name is Sarah, so it actually says a name. Now, I can't 100% guarantee that they're actually saying that name, Sarah, but after listening to it several times, this is what I hear. So, and this is pretty much my conclusion at this moment as what name they are saying. Another thing I want to point out before I play the video is that they said she might have been, this is a show she might have been watching on her device, like iPad or something like that. I personally don't believe it. And the reason why I don't believe it is because it didn't start until after the truck passed. So what I do believe is that they were either talking to Elizabeth on the phone, then they had decided to show up and say they were actually there after arguing with her on the phone, because this does kind of sound like some sort of argument, and it does sound like there were two people in the truck as well. The other thing I want to point out before I play the video is that I color coded some of the captions, and the color coding of the captions actually represents somebody else talking. So two people are talking. The red captioning is the killer. The pink captioning is the person in the truck that's in the truck with the killer. And then any of the blue captioning, which is a very small amount, but you'll see some of the blue captioning. The blue captioning will be Elizabeth talking. So I'm going to go ahead and play that for you guys. Okay, so that's that's as much captioning as I can find. Currently, I will do more research on this, but this does conclude my video as far as like a part one. Like I said, I don't know if I'm going to do a part two on this, but I did want to get out there what I do know. Thank you.